everybody. Welcome back to Boomx Beauty Beat. We have someone very, very special here today. Her name is April. Is it Farrell or Farrell?
Farrall.
Farrell. And she is a master medium. She has several other talents. We're going to go through all of them. But you were referred to me by another lady who says, you've got to talk to April. She's unbelievable. So, I mean, I got in touch with you that day and we set this up, and I'm nervous, excited because I think that, well, I told you a little earlier that I've never been read before. I've never had a reading, and I thought it would be really amazing after I kind of ask you a few things to experience that a bit and show people what it's like to get a reading, and maybe demystify it a bit if they've never experienced something like this. Especially, it's the end of the year. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen in their lives and everything else. So thank you and welcome for you being here, April. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here. Yeah.
Now, there's so much to tell everybody about you. I just want to run through a few things. I mean, basically, you read energy and you speak soul. I saw that on your website, and I love that. I thought that was amazing. You've been in practice for over 20 years, and you've done thousands of readings. You do psychic readings, crystal readings, and you're also a Reiki master instructor, and you're involved in aromatherapy as well. And you're what's called a master medium. Can you explain what that means, master medium?
Yes. Master medium, meaning that I have been at this for so many years. I actually was gifted this gift of mediumship and psychic ability, oracle ability, energy reading through hereditary lines. So I have had the ability to see and hear and communicate with spirit world, with the angelic realm, since I was a baby, basically. Wow. And I'm now almost 62. So I've been at it for a long time, but I've also, on top of my natural gifts, I have also done countless hours worldwide with other world-renowned mediums, and been through testing, etc., to validate that what I actually bring through is true. And so I've been validated with that, and then that brings me to the level of a master medium. So I'm actually teaching other people now how to increase their own psychic intuition and tap into mediumship.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Is that like a course that you would take, or are you doing it individually, or how does that work?
I'm just starting actually next week. I have my first 2 courses coming out. One is on witchcraft 101, because I'm also a hereditary witch of 8 generations at least that we know of. And so I've got a course that's six weeks long on witchcraft, and then I have another one starting on angels and intuition as well.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. And believe me, I will be giving everybody, I know there's some people out there freaking out right now wanting to know how to get involved in that. So I am going to link everything below on how to get a hold of you. So I'm sure you could let them know when if there's no more room, or if there's future classes and things like that. But that
absolutely.
I'm in an empath group, and boy, there's a lot of people who are really wanting to tap deeper into their abilities. But if you would allow me to, I'd love to go back into your past and your history, being a child growing up in this family with, like you said, there's 8 generation. Does it come all up the female line where you're passing along that heredity? Yes. Tell me about that, and then tell me about your childhood and how you began and how you figured out what's going on.
Okay. Well, as far as the witchcraft part of it, so that's at least 8 generations that we've been able to document back to. We actually go back to the Pendle witches, which were a group of women healers, witches in Pendle in England. Mm-hmm. And most of them were hung because they were witches. So basically, a witch, meaning that we're healers. Witches are healers, and they work with herbs, they work with oils, they work with nature, and then they learn how to tap in to become really good at manifesting and working with law of attraction before we even knew what that was called. So it's a lot of intention involved in what you're producing as a witch. That is on my mother's side of the family. My grandmother and my great grandmother were prolific oracle readers and tea leaf readers, and people used to come from all over to get readings from them. I know of one of my male cousins that has some ability, but he doesn't work with it.
Yeah.
And I know my own brother has had a couple of occasions where he has seen full body apparitions, but again, he doesn't work with it either. But it's predominantly passed into the female side of the family, that they all have a gift of some sort of tapping into, whether it's card reading, whether it's psychic intuition, whether it's mediumship. There's only myself and one other that have been gifted with mediumship, which is just simply being able to, well, not simply, but being able to just tap into the other realms and bring through, any spirits that are on the other side that want to come through the veil to bring messages through.
You see me looking sideways twice. My light has gone off twice while we're talking. It's a battery light that's completely off and unplugged. And I'm like, why is that twice? 2 or 3 times it's flashed a light. I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I?
One of the things that's probably happening there is that because you've got my energy coming through at you, and I have a real thing with energy, that my own energy is so strong and is so high that I can affect electrical things around people that aren't even around me.
I mean, I'm in a constant full body chills. Yeah. Is that normal to feel? Like, is that just me, or
the light flashing on and on is probably more of my energy coming in. The chills coming through, I believe, is your grandfather energy that is coming through to you. Yeah.
I'll try not to cry right off the bat. It's already coming up.
Oh, good. I'm usually not happy in a reading until somebody gets all teary-eyed.
Yeah, that's coming. This will be the first messy cry they've seen me do, I think, probably. I'll try to keep it together at least a little while longer. Oh, my goodness. So when you were little, did anything happen, like any stories, anything come that you're like, Mommy, what's this, or what's happening to me? Did anything happen like that for you?
Yeah, the first recollection that I have, and this is why I say it must have been since birth, but the first recollection I had, I was only about 3 years old.
Okay.
And the light was on in our hallway outside of my bedroom. The door was open, and I woke up and I looked out in the hallway, and there were these 2 little boys standing there holding hands. And they looked exactly the same, and they were dressed the same, but they were dressed in, I called it funny clothing, which I now know was just, older clothing. And they, through their telepathy, so they didn't actually speak with their, voices, but through telepathy, they told me that their names were John and Clarence, and that they were there to watch over me, and that they loved me. And I was only like 3, and I'm like, okay, well, that's very nice. Thank you. And I went back to sleep. It didn't scare me or anything, because what do you know? And for me, rarely we'll call them ghosts for this instance, rarely do they ever come through and look misty or translucent. I usually see spirit in solid form. They look like a living person. And the only way that I've learned to differentiate between the living and the ones that are across the veil is that they'll have a glow about them. But the next morning when I got up and I went downstairs, and I said to my mom at that point, I told her very casually that these 2 little boys had been standing in the hallway talking to me. I told her what they looked like. I described what they were wearing, and I said, and their names are John and Clarence. And my mother burst into tears. So it turns out that John and Clarence were twin brothers that my mother had who had died 2 weeks apart from each other when they were only 5 years old.
Oh my
I
goodness.
had never heard this story. It was never talked about. And they're actually coming around right now while I'm talking about them. I'm getting shivers,
I'm
which
getting
means
shivers like
they're
crazy.
coming in. So they weren't, they just weren't talked about in the family. And so none of us, even my older siblings, I'm the youngest of 4 by 12 years,
Mm.
and none of them knew about John and Clarence. It was just something that was never talked about. So that sort of started to open the floodgate for me. And I guess I was just like a little beacon, of light. If I can see you, I can hear you. And so they just kept coming. And so I just had to learn in talking to my grandmother and some great aunts and aunts on what was happening, because my mother didn't want anything to do with this either. It's always scared her.
Okay.
My mother is 101 now, and she still doesn't want to hear anything about it because it scares her. But so I talked to my grandmother and my great aunts and my aunt, and they told me what was going on and not to be afraid and how to sort of develop it and how to handle it. And so that's how we've gone along.
Wow, that's and then along the way, somewhere along the way, you decided to pursue this a little more seriously and get involved with it. Did you ever get scared? Were there things that made you fearful, like what your mom was worried about? Did things happen that you have to?
No, I mean, I've been in a few situations where I have been asked to go into people's homes or into businesses, into hotels, things like that, to clear negative energy out. And so there's been a couple of occasions with that where it's been a little scary because they're really dark, heavy energies. I've been pushed, I've been bit, I've been scratched. So those, are a little bit more challenging, but I don't get particularly frightened by it because I know where it's coming from and I know what's happening and I know how to deal with it. And this is a normal thing for me in my life. So
Yeah, I
it's not
think that's
scary.
key. I think where it gets scary, and I think for myself, I know that there has been quite a few things happen with me, and I know from a very young child that it felt like there was quite a negative force, like trying to surround me, but I also felt some protection as well as a small 6-year-old, and I kind of went to battle with it at about 13 years old. I actually had my arm was all strained up, and there was an actual battle that happened, and I got very well protected at the end, but it was really a sordid affair. And throughout my life there's been several things happen. So for somebody like me who has no access, doesn't know how to protect, but things like to come around when they can, this is where it gets scary, because you're in the unknown, and you know that you're you're sort of, like you said, a beacon of some sort, but you don't know how to take care of that. And maybe we can talk afterwards. Maybe I need to take a course on how to protect myself, because I've always been afraid to do readings or pursue it, because I seem to awaken a heck of a lot whenever I tap a little bit. Is that something that can happen?
Absolutely. Right. And it's the same as I have people so often, they're like, oh, Ouija boards, ooh, bad. And I'm like, no, it's a Ouija, I call it a spirit board. Spirit boards have been used all over the world in all different cultures in all different ways, but they all come down to the same thing, that they're a spirit board or a Ouija board. But using those are no different than using cards or using a pendulum, as they're just divination tools. But the thing is that when you have somebody that is particularly sensitive, an empathic person such as yourself, who then hasn't been trained in how to protect yourself, it would be the same as you would not, I'm sure, I hope not, you wouldn't go to bed in your home at night and leave your door wide open so that anybody and everything can come in. And so it's the same thing when we open ourselves up, our energies up, even if we're not trying consciously to raise our energy. But if you're particularly empathic and sensitive, they see that and they want to talk and they'll want to come around, good, bad, and indifferent souls that are on the other side. And so if you don't know how to protect yourself, it is a scary feeling, because it's like you're out of control of that situation. So that I can teach anybody very easily and very effectively how to surround themselves and protect themselves at all times, because we need to, it's like for me, I had to learn how to turn it on and off.
Mm-hmm.
I have my whole thing that I go through before I even start a reading that opens me up and lets the spirit world know that I am now ready to work. I don't have it turned on 24/7 anymore. I used to. And then I was just bombarded all the time. I was like that kid in The Sixth Sense, you know? I see sick people. When? All the time. Yeah. So I had to learn how, because it was exhausting. And I'm like, no, you can't come in the bedroom with me. And no, you can't be in here when I'm in the shower. No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, this is very important information, and I best be getting in touch with you, especially after this reading, because I'll probably get some stuff happen. Okay. Yeah. So can you tell me what a spirit guide is?
Oh, that's another course I'm starting next week. Actually, that's just a one-off next week. It's an hour and a half of how to find your spirit guide, how to communicate with your spirit guide. So all of us, from what I have been shown over the years, is that all of us, when we decide that we're going to incarnate back from spirit back into a human body, to experience a human lifetime and learn lessons, we make contracts, we make soul contracts with other spirits on the other side. One that we have with us from the moment we are born until we go through the light when we leave the physical vessel to go back to spirit. We all have a guardian angel with us. Now that guardian angel is with us all the time. They never go anywhere. They're with us all the time. And they're there to protect us and guide us and help us on our way. They have never incarnated as humans. They have only been spirit. They've only been energetic. Then we also have spirit guides. Now, everyone will have one primary spirit guide. The spirit guide is usually someone who has always lived a human experience. Now, they may be a relative. They're usually not. If they are a relative, they're many generations back. Spirit guides are usually just somebody who is in our soul tribe, in our energetic soul tribe when we're on the other side. And bless them, they decide that they're going to take on, for some of them it's challenging, they take on this person, and we have that contract with them before we incarnate. And they become our spirit guide. Now, the reason that they are a spirit guide as opposed to an angel is because they've been human. So they understand the human condition. They understand emotions. They understand what it is to be fearful. They understand what it is to be happy. They understand what it is to be sad. They understand what it is to feel that you don't have the things you want and you're frustrated by it. They know what it is to be in love. They know all of these things because they have walked the earth as a human. So that particular person, soul, will have made a soul contract with us before we incarnate back into a physical body. And then they're around us as well all the time, guiding us. And we just tap into their energy and they guide us and help us to make decisions and just help to make life a little bit easier. It's like having your best friend with you all the time, and they rarely argue with you.
Oh, that'd be good. That's really okay. So this is so fascinating. Okay, so I'm going to ask one more thing, and then maybe we can try doing a bit of a reading.
Sure.
So this I'll ask just to get rid of the fear. So in terms of, I asked this. I had recently I had a medicine woman on, a shaman, and I asked her about evil and her thoughts on it. And she had a certain way of explaining it, but I was wondering if you would mind answering that question too, your thoughts on evil, what it is, and or are there, demonic spirits, things like that, that people are most of, when you hear, anything to do with the spirit realm, people are quite fearful of. Is that real? And how is that dealt with?
Yeah, good question. Again, I can only speak from my own experiences of what I've had over, almost 62 years. My answer to that, because I get asked that quite often, the answer that I have for that is yes, I do believe that there are demons. I do believe that there is evil. And the reason primarily I'm saying that is because in everything, whether it's in nature, whether it's in us as a human, whatever it may be, there always has to be a good and a bad, a light and a dark, the yin and the yang. You can't have goodness and angels without having dark and demons. Now, having said that, there are very, very, very few times that people are actually going to be affected by what we would term demons. They just don't have time for the average person. They're not really caring to muck with us too much. Generally, what happens with that when people are having scary experiences, bad experiences, that type of thing, they're entities that are darker. So it's the thing of, as I tell people, that if somebody was a nasty person when they were here in the physical body, they don't immediately become like all angelic, sitting on a cloud playing a harp. They kind of stay a nasty person until they learn their lessons on the other side also. So that is the darker, heavier energy that people will usually experience, is these darker, more negative, yucky people, that were yucky people in life. I have found throughout the years that the majority, if not all, people that have addiction issues, alcohol, drugs, etc., most of the time, in my experience, they have had an oppression. So that's they're not possessed, but it's close to. They take on the oppression of somebody who in their physical life was also an addict. They still want to experience the physicality of what they feel like when they took that drug, what they felt like when they drank that alcohol. And so they will find somebody whose energy is lower. The person might be sick. They might have emotional problems. They might be depressed. And that makes them kind of an easy target for these people to sort of come in and oppress their energy.
Like pick on them in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. They're like sloppy bullies. Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But definitely there's definitely evil. You can't have good without having evil, in my opinion. You can't have light without having dark.
And do you have to protect from that every time you do a reading, or not really?
Yes. I think that because you're opening yourself up to the energies, you don't know who it is, because we can't control who it is that is going to come through. It's the same as I can phone somebody. They're not necessarily going to answer the phone even if they're home. I can go knock on their door. If they don't want to answer their door, they don't answer their door. But they can come in if you leave the door open. So, sorry, my little dog is...
That's okay. Maybe the energy's high. The dog's feeling it.
She's 3 pounds and she thinks she's the guard dog of the house. So
cute. I love dogs.
But I think anytime that you are opening yourself up, it's like, you're going to get in the car, you're going to put a seatbelt on. So anytime that you're going to start opening and raising your vibration up, because you don't know who you're going to encounter, every single time you need to cleanse, you need to ground, you need to protect. And once you get used to doing it, it's a very fast process.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
See, this is all so good. Well, this is it. Well, we've come to the point where we're going to give this a try. Are you up for it?
Always up for it.
Okay.
One of my favorite things in life.
Doing this. Yes. Thank you so much for doing this. And I'm sure there's other people who are going to watch this who've never even seen this or heard this done before. So whatever, I'll take your lead, whatever you need me to do. Thank you again.
Okay. So I just, part of my process of getting ready so that I let the spirits know that I am now ready to work is I'm telling them in my mind. I talk to my spirit guide in my mind. His name is Malcolm. He goes by Mac. Very much looks like Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Ooh, that's not bad.
And he's a cheeky bugger. But anyway, I talk to him, and then he will also then talk to the spirit guides of people, living people. And he also then will help to bring through people that are on the other side of the veil.
Mm.
And so what I'm going to do with cards, oh, and I have to say too, now if I stop looking at you and I look away, I'm not being rude. I've just always found that I can hear better when I'm not looking. When I'm not distracted by your beautiful face, I can hear better. They come in, I have to raise my vibration up. They have to raise their vibration or bring their vibration down. We kind of meet in the middle. And they come in almost chipmunky sounding, very staticky at times. So I have to really listen to get the words through. And then I'm going to tap on my cards, which is my signal that I am ready to work.
Okay.
So generally what I do is I start with the cards and we just see what happens. So as I was mentioning to you earlier before we went live, was I asked you if you were having back pain, because I was bringing in low back pain within myself, which I knew was not mine. So I figured it was yours. And then you said that, yes, your back was bothersome. And I also got a few hot spots from fibromyalgia that started to burn, which again, I knew was not mine. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia close to 30 years ago, and I have learned to control it. So when I get heavy fibromyalgic hot spots, again, I know it's the other person. So I'd asked you if you had fibro, and yes, you do. So that was your energy coming in. And then we also had the father energy coming in strongly. And as I was telling you, because I wasn't tapping in too deeply at the time, that father energy can present as actual father. It could be a stepfather. It could be a father-like figure. It can be a grandfather. But then as it came through and I said, oh, heart, this was a heart condition. And so it was your grandfather who passed from a heart attack. So he came through very strongly, and we hadn't even started anything yet.
Yeah, it's I was only 9, and I knew when he was passing, and didn't even know what death was. I had no one close to me die, and something told me, and I yelled out the window, "I love you, Grandpa." But we were terribly close, so much so that they treated me like the widow at the funeral. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's around you very, very, very strongly, very strongly. And this is the he's Italian.
Oh my God, this is my mother's side. So this, my father's Italian, but my mother's not.
So I'm getting the two crossed over then. So it's father and then the grandfather, because father, even though he's not in the picture, so to speak, there's an issue going on with him physically right now. That's what's happening. And
he's had high blood pressure.
And that's one of the things I said to you was high blood pressure before we started in with this. It was I was getting this blood pressure issue. So that's definitely father coming in there. So he's the Italian side.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, your grandfather's around you a lot. Now, one of the things that he does to let you know that he's around is two things that he does. He plays with your hair, like you'll feel like it's almost like, oh, did I get my hair caught on something? Because it'll just be like a gentle little tug on the hair. But the other thing that he does, he loves to touch your hands. He'll just give you a little brush on your hand, and there'll be times that like you'll even like subconsciously move your hand, not knowing why you're doing that, and it's actually because you get that sensation of him touching you, and also your feet. He likes to touch your feet.
Wow.
Do you ever have instances where you feel your hair or the hands or the feet?
For sure. Like I suppose I haven't really paid attention to my feet and my hands, but my hair I do a lot, for sure.
Yeah,
but I'll be watching.
Yes, definitely him. He loves to do that. They will come through, with the simplest things to let us know that they're there. And a lot of the time, I'll have people say, well, what are they, don't they have anything more to tell me? And I will have just finished telling somebody like, well, he was always somebody that had his hands in his pocket jingling with his change, and he loves to eat Lay's plain potato chips. And they're like, well, don't they have anything else to say? Well, that's pretty great messages coming through, because all they want to let you know is that they're there and they're around. Everyone who crosses, everyone, does not matter how they cross, whether it's an accident, whether it's suicide, whether it's a disease, whatever it may be. It does not matter how they pass. Everyone on the other side is fine. They're fine. They're happy. They go to the light. Some get stuck here a little bit longer. That doesn't make them ghosts. They're not earthbound. It just means they're stuck here a little bit longer because they want to stay around those that they love before they fully move into the light. But we can usually call them quite readily to us. And just by thinking of them brings that in. Okay, so the one primary card that I have here, the middle card, which is directly happening with you right now. And this talks about, to me, this indicates children. So conception and children. So do you have two children, a boy and a girl?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And very creative. They're both very, very creative, expansive personalities. I want to say, like they're big personalities. They're not shy, timid. They're big personalities. They're both very, very, very creative. Both, and you've done a great job because they're both very self-aware. They're both very good with themselves. They're happy with themselves. They're confident in themselves. Yeah, they're very confident in moving forward in life, and they have both of them have a very direct path of where it is they want to go in life, career-wise, etc. Sure. They've got it in their mind. This is what they're doing, and they're making it happen, and they're making it happen very, very well, very well. They come up with me around you with this huge green. So green is always bringing in the heart chakra and showing me that you have so much compassion. You have so much love for everyone that at times it's almost painful for you because you want to help everybody and you can't help everybody, but you try, and you're very good at it, but you put a lot on yourself that you shouldn't be putting quite as much on yourself because it will take its toll. And that will play into, exacerbating fibromyalgia for one thing. We need to have that self-care and self-love. Sometimes people that have these super, super big hearts and are super, super compassionate for everybody else, I call them the burnt toast mothers. It's it's okay. I'll eat the burnt toast. I'll take the burnt cookie, so that everybody else can have the good stuff. And you're very, very much like that. And you need to back that off a little bit. You need to start really, you've done your mother thing. I mean, we're never done mothering, ever. Somehow the kids have a hard time remembering that, that we're never done. I get the sigh and the eye roll, my son is 38 and I get the still. But once a mother, always a mother. But your mothering as such it's changed, it's evolved. And so it's time for mommy a bit more now. It's time for you to take more care of yourself. They're adults. They're able to fend for themselves. You've done a great job in showing them and teaching them how to use their wings. So you need to let them use their wings. And now you start taking care of your wings a little bit more. I love this. I just love this card. I can't even remember the last time I pulled this card, honestly. I'm going to if I can show it to you. You can see it. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, it's beautiful. Yes.
I love this card for you in that what this card is about is problem solving. That you are a person who is very resolute. And when you get something in your mind that you're going to do, you're going to find some way to make it happen.
Yeah.
And you do find some way to make it happen. You're very good at problem solving and getting things together and being resolute for other people to help other people. And that is fantastic. But the other one that they're telling me is, now this I think is very important. This is a very, very important card for you. Very, very, very important card. Now this card is passed over loved ones. However, doesn't necessarily have to be people that are already through the veil on the other side. They could be close to going through to the veil. This one is telling you there's two things with this card that comes through. One is you do have the loved ones on the other side, such as your mother and your grandfather. They come through to comfort you. They come through to, do you get whiffs of like your mom's scent? Like what she would smell like?
I used to smell her scarves. Yeah.
She just brought that through to me, of this very light floral, very lovely scent, very fresh kind of scent that she brought through to me. So she comes around you with the scent that she's there with you. And she and her father are, sorry, that's my other dog, they're together.
Oh my, okay.
They are together. So they come around to support you. They come around to comfort you. They say that you're far too hard on yourself, that you need to really learn to take more time for you. But the other thing that is very big here that's coming through from both mother, both grandfather, and I'm getting from the spirit guides coming through, is you still need to work on forgiveness. And that's a big, big one for you. You need to work on forgiveness. Now, whether this ties in with father, few other people, male, true forgiveness needs to happen. Now, what I have to tell you about forgiveness is that we don't forgive other people for them. We forgive other people to release ourselves. We can't fully move forward in life with ease and grace and openness and light if we have emotions and things that still haven't been dealt with fully that are tamped down.
Okay.
And that also could be one of the reasons that you're having issues with the low back, because the low back also ties in with the womb area in the front. Women tend to shove their emotions down and we carry it in our wombs. So it needs to be released out of there. And one of the best things that I recommend people do is sit and think about it. Think about the person that you want to get this forgiveness out, and write it down.
Okay.
Write everything down, write them a letter and pour it out there. Pour everything that you can think of onto this letter. When you feel that you've completely written everything down that you need to say, then you're going to burn it.
Okay.
And when the smoke goes up, it's taking the messages with it. And then you truly be done with it. And you truly wipe your hands of that situation and you forgive yourself. You'll be amazed at how much lighter you feel.
So for each person.
For each person, you're going to do that. Yep. And then, now this is the witchy part of it.
Okay.
Is that you're going to then take your leftover ashes and you're going to discard them away from your home.
Okay.
Because these are things we don't want to hold on to, so we want them away from our home. So taking them out and scattering them around the base of a tree, giving them, back up to Mother Gaia, putting them into a creek, any sort of running water, that gets rid of it. The other thing we can do that, again, is sort of a witchy thing, but it's very effective, is getting a candle, like a pillar candle, and carve into the side of it. Carve words of things that you want to release.
Okay.
And then you can actually put that piece of paper that you've written on. You can set the candle on top of it. You've carved the candle, light the candle, and think about what you're releasing into the flame. And you can do that for 10 to 15 minutes at a time. And if you need to do it every day for like a week, great. when that's all done, you take everything. You take your papers that you burned, the ash, you take the remnants of the wax, and you dispose of it away from your home and be done with it, so that you can truly release yourself. Give yourself that gift of releasement. Most people don't do that. Women especially, we tend to hang on.
Yeah, I think it's almost easier with people that have passed, but ones that are here still, that's harder, because it's still an open possibility.
That's right. Yeah. That's what, we really need to do that for ourselves, And, when we release these things, the other thing that it does is that it releases ancestral cellular DNA.
Oh.
So we all come in again with, just over our heads, over the crown chakra, we have our star chakra.
Mm-hmm.
The star chakra holds all of the information from all of our past lives. It's all sitting right there.
Totally.
And it'll come down and be downloaded into us as we go along through life. We also bring in cellular DNA memory from our past lives, but also our ancestors who have passed. Carry all of that within us. So when you do releasing and forgiving, especially if you get into doing shadow work or womb healing, any of that type of thing, but when we start to do forgiveness and we start to do releasing, we're also releasing our ancestors. So anything that they passed, carrying with them, you are releasing on their behalf also. It's a beautiful thing. Wow. And then that also then is transferred on, that energy is transferred onto your children and then onto their children. So it's a fabulous thing. And I just feel like they've got just the one last card that I want to pull for you. And I love this card for you. I don't know you, as you know, we don't know each other, but no. I just love this card for you. So this card is Happy Family. Happy Family. I think that's lovely. And that goes along with what I was bringing in earlier about your kids. You've done a really good job. Really good job. They seem very focused and they seem like really good people. So you've done a really good job, and they're not floundering around wondering what they're going to do in life. They're good about all of that. So good job on you, Mama.
Oh, thank you. How am I going to talk now? You made me cry so much. Oh my goodness. I cried this whole thing. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot. And it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy.
Yeah, that family thing, that's a hot button for me, right? Especially when you have, current rifts and unfinished business and oh my goodness. You know, this is a lot to deal with.
Well, I don't mean to burst your bubble.
Okay.
There's very few families that don't have something going on. So you're not alone in that, my dear.
No, that is so
But it
true.
makes such a big difference in our lives. It truly does, when we can really forgive and we can let things go and we can move on. It helps everybody around us across all space and time.
Yeah. Well, I might have to come in and talk to you about, I'm having, I feel like I can do it for everybody except my father. I'm having a hard time with him.
Yeah, that's your sticking point there. Yeah, but we can get it to release. But it's not something that happened overnight, and so you're not going to release it overnight either.
That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, what an experience. Like I said, I've never had it, but I've had, counseling sessions, but I don't think it's near as moving as this experience. You can just feel it down deep in yourself that everything that's being said, it's completely different situation than going to like a counseling session,
Well, and this is why I had said to you before we started recording that, I don't do sort of like generic card readings where it's like, oh, you're going to meet the love of your life on a Tuesday and he's going to be wearing a red scarf. No, I don't do that stuff. But my card readings always are soul coaching. It's always soul coaching, because that's what we need. And as women, we tend to nurture everyone else around us, but we don't nurture ourselves. Yeah. And then when women get into their 40s, but particularly I find more when women start getting into their 50s, they start really reflecting on, oh, I'm 50, whatever, and what have I done? And I've still got this hanging on and I haven't done, and they feel very put upon and pushed down a lot.
Yeah.
And if you don't resolve that stuff, you can't be a happy, skippy, yippy, almost 62 like me. So, you know, I find that working with women to help them remember their divine feminine power and to raise that up and get rid of all the muck and crud that they're carrying around. And we work with that on an energetic soul level. And it's a beautiful thing to watch them emerge.
Oh, wow. I want to make sure I explain everything that you do, because there might be something that you do in there that we haven't expounded on. So you do one-on-one readings. You also are training others to do medium work. You're also working, your aromatherapy comes into play with women as well. You give them certain aromatherapy that would help them. Is that the idea?
Yeah, we do. I put together blends, oil blends that are prudent to them and what they need at that time.
Okay. Ooh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I also noticed that you have crystals.
Oh, yes. It's a problem.
Oh, you mean you're too into it? You're getting.
Oh, I'm a crystal healer. I have always, actually, my cousins still to this day tease me because I was always the little girl walking around anywhere we were out, anywhere, and I'd be like, "Oh, look at the pretty rock, Daddy!" And I'd be picking up, and I always had my pockets full of rocks. My dad used to get mad at me. We had a house in Richmond that had stucco on the side, and it was white, mostly white with some black, but the white was kind of sparkly. So I used to stand there and pick them off.
I remember those houses.
And put them in my pocket, and my dad would get so mad. Stop picking the stucco. But I'm like, it's pretty. So I've always had such a fascination and love for the spirit or crystal people. And so I went on to become a crystal practitioner. And so I'm always adorned with crystals. I've always got crystals on. I make crystal jewelry, and
And if somebody wants to get some crystals for Christmas for somebody, is there a way they can go about that? Or
they can just message me on my Facebook business page, which is, what is that? April Angel Medium.
Yes. I think I had it up a little earlier. And is there anything else in terms of services that I'm not touching on that we should talk about that you do?
I do a lot of chakra energy work. So it's integrating, and I do them over several weeks. Okay. I only do a couple chakras at a time because I give women homework that they have to do. That's fantastic in clearing everything out. I am a womb healer, so I do energetic womb healing with women, and that is so freeing and brilliant. And that is all just energy, guided meditation, placement of crystals on the body. It clears out all that muck and helps that divine feminine power rise back up. What else do I do? Oh, I do aromatherapy massage. I've been doing that for 21 years.
My goodness.
And card readings, of course. Evidential mediumship, and
And how does a person decide which service to come at you for? Because there's so many.
Usually we'll just have a little chat.
Okay.
And when talking with people, then we can figure out where we need to start, and we go on from there.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll absolutely obviously connect all of your info in the description box below. And what a wonderful gift to give yourself. Crystals would be a wonderful gift to give somebody because it's got meaning for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
I think I might be hitting you up on that for my kids. Yeah. And I can't thank you enough for this experience. It's life-changing. I mean, really. And certainly I've got a little bit of work to do, sounds like. But thank you for, pointing everything out. And
my great pleasure.
My goodness.
My great pleasure.
Incredible experience. So
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Do you ever come to Victoria?
I haven't in a long time, but I could be persuaded.
Wow. If you ever decide you
Have
want
crystals, have cards, we'll travel when I
yes,
can travel. You know, we could just get this darn C word under control more.
yeah, the
But
C
yeah, no, I
word.
travel all over the place, all over the
Mhm.
world, and I do course, I teach workshops and do one-on-one healings, and
It,
I do group parties. You know, women that want to have card readings in their homes,
we could
so they
do a
have a
Zoom
group.
one as well, right? Like
And
it
yeah,
could
we
be
can,
on
yep,
Zoom.
absolutely. Yep.
I'm
And
going to be
those are
doing,
always so much fun too, because the women get around, they usually have their wine and just
yeah.
having a good time. And we can do that over Zoom, and then everybody gets a reading. Yeah.
Oh, maybe I can come because I'm going to be doing a bit of a summit once I'm finished working with this group of women from Vancouver. There's about
Mhm.
close to 40 of them that I'm interviewing, and summit at the end. Maybe that's an idea to keep in my head of a way
Yeah,
to kind of pull together a little Zoom party that something
sure.
like that. That would be
I'm up
great.
for all of it. Yep. If it's
Oh my,
energy and female related, I'm in.
awesome. Oh, thank you so much for everything. I feel like I'm missing something, but hopefully we can just talk again soon. Oh, just with the C word, to tell everybody that, well, it feels like it's going to go on a bit longer, but deal with your own stuff. Is that the best advice? Just stay within yourself and don't worry about it too much, or?
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of other healers, practitioners that are telling everybody to, you know, drop into their heart chakra and work from their heart chakra. And while I think that's important to keep that love light going for ourselves and for everyone, I think it's more important to drop down into the root chakra. So the base of the tailbone, it's a bright ruby red, to keep us really grounded. So we
Okay.
don't get too up in our heads and too freaked out about things. We can't
Okay.
control it.
Yeah.
So grounding and controlling our own bodies instead of going all willy-nilly up in our heads and doing the doomsday what if things
Yeah.
is better. Yeah. I mean, we just gotta ride it out. This too will pass. I promise. This too
Yeah.
will pass.
This too
Yeah.
will pass.
Yeah.
Well, people were certainly lucky to have you in their corner, April. It'll be just
Oh,
such a
thank
gift
you.
to meet you. So we'll say goodbye for now, and thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of emails and questions after this comes out. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Take care.
Be well, be light, and be love.
Lovely. You as well. Okay. Take care. Bye. I love dogs. That'll make my day. Let me see. Oh, little muffin. Look it. What's your name?
He's such a big baby.
Oh my God, he's so cute,
He
April.
is,
I could
he's
die.
adorable.
He's
And
adorable.
he is honestly the sweetest soul dog that I have ever experienced in my life.